Hey everyone, sorry for the technical difficulties. Yeah, gotta love them. But yeah, your introduction, Krystal, before we got cut off.
You can start all over if you want, but it wasn't that much of a you
Yeah.
know.
Okay, so hey guys, this is Robert, and today we have Krystal Kitsune here, sitting with us as our latest special guest. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi, Robert. Good to be here. How are you been?
I've been doing good. So you could just share like what is it that you've been up to? Any exciting projects, stuff that you've got in the works without not disclosing too much information. It just, yeah, what have you been up to these days? Add your introduction.
Yeah, sure. As you stated, my name is Krystal, and I am the host and founder of the Kitsune Network, which is a website where we not only is it another anime website, but it's also a website where we get to do a lot of special exclusive interviews with voice actors, and I think we're known for doing giveaways with said voice actors and whatnot. So yeah, my latest project that I've worked on was a interview with special guest Kylie McNeil, who she is the voice of Zuzu, aka Belle, in the very hit critically acclaimed film Belle, which is a Mamoru Hosoda's latest film, and that's like exploded so far. So yeah, that's been my recent work.
Awesome. Yeah, and I guess we could just get this out of the way. Do you have like any fun facts or like, I don't know, interesting little tidbits about yourself that you'd like to share to the audience out there?
Uh, Fun facts about myself, huh? It's funny. It's usually the other way around when I get to ask my guests this, and I don't see them as struggling as much as I am right now. But fun facts about me, I always drink coffee. Like I'm coffee obsessed. There's no day where you'll not find me drinking some kind of coffee. And I don't drink coffee like with milk or anything. I just drink it black.
Okay. That's nice. I'm not really a caffeine drinker, so that's at least that's um it's good to know. So yeah, I guess we could just get on with the questions and the answers. So yeah, so what was it that got you I guess started with everything that you do? So when did you decide that, hey, this would be a lot of fun interviewing voice actors and whatnot, and considering you are a VA yourself, so when did this whole creative process begin for you with everything that you're doing, from VO to just podcast, like interviews and doing all of this fun stuff?
Well, everything began back in 2015, and to make a long story short, I used to, like any other anime fan and other fan of anything really, I started going out to these events, like fan made events, official events where cosplayers, fans of said fandom would show up, and I would find myself always recording and documenting the event, uh capturing, I don't want to say cinematic style footage, but just capturing footage of the event in a way that looked really good when edited. And I realized that I enjoyed doing these coverage videos of those events. And then that evolved into, okay, well, now I could do these coverages. And sometimes at these events, it would have like the voice actors or special guests, whomever they were. And I found it really easy to connect and really easy to talk to these special guests without stuttering, without stumbling over my words and or coming across as an obsessed fan. And one thing led to another, and by the time I knew it, I was already on the spot interviewing somebody like a special guest, or I would sometimes interview um, fans at these said events and interview them on their experience at the event. And long story short, it snowballed into what it is now, into a website, into a YouTube channel, into a whole team, because I have a whole team that's behind who helps me infield and at these events. And that's pretty much that, all that in a nutshell. It's just yeah.
Yeah. And what sparked your interest in going to conventions and doing all of these events?
Uh Going back again to the when I started going to smaller events, like smaller cosplay gatherings, or sometimes a store, an anime store like Anime Jungle here in Los Angeles, they would throw like small events where voice actors would go to it, so it'd become like this uh, small event type panel for that one day, for that 1 hour. And I would go to these, and I would love the experience. I would love seeing the fans. I would love seeing the special guest. And then that evolved into me getting to know that, hey, there's conventions of this, and there's not just only one. There's like multiple across the entire country, and I wanted to experience what was it like to be at a con. And first time going to one, and I've been going to like cons ever since. And I think the very first convention I went to was in I want to say 2007, 2008 for Anime Expo. And at the time, Anime Expo was held at the Long Beach Convention Center, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
Yeah, and you're also very passionate about cosplay.
Uh, at some point I was. I even I think as a teenager I aspired to be one of those edgy viral cosplayers, but then I started getting more focusing on my interest in covering and journalism and within the anime fandom, and that's basically where everything focused. And to kind of cover what you said earlier regarding me being a VA, yes, it's true. I do voice acting on the side. I haven't gotten like a big role yet, but then again, we all start from somewhere. Uh, but yeah, I do have an IMDb page, and I think behind the voice actor, I'm not sure if I have that. I gotta look that up. But I know I have a IMDb page.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so for Krystal Kitsune, what's the story behind the, I guess, coming up with the Kitsune network and your, I guess, online alias in general?
Oh, let me start with my name, Krystal. Kitsune. So for those who don't know Japanese, Kitsune means fox in Japanese, and Krystal just is basically my the name I chose for myself as a person. Which it in itself is inspiration from a video game called Star Fox, and a character named Krystal in it, and then of course Kitsune Fox. But actually, the Kitsune part was actually just added as a play on words with Krystal the Fox from Star Fox and my own name. But then the Kitsune Network, which in itself is not related to my name, it's a play on words with the Fox Network. Although I'm not a huge fan of the Fox Network, which is I think Channel 11 or something like that. It's a play on words, so it's the Fox Network, the Kitsune Network. It's kind of a play on words. At the time I was creating the website, I did not think of anything more creative than that, and that stuck.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. And
But
s-
I'll tell you this much though. I in a way I regret naming it like that, because a lot of people have trouble saying so the Kitsune Network, ironically. So it's not so much the Kitsune part as much as it's the part, the part, because sometimes they want to introduce me. Sometimes I'm at an event covering an event, and they want to introduce my channel or whatever, and they tend to say Kitsune Network when the actual whole thing of the whole well, my whole outlet, it's called the Kitsune Network. But then again, you can't say the Kitsune Network. You know what I mean?
I get you. So, growing up, was your family like really supportive of you pursuing these creative avenues?
uh it's funny. I don't think I can say yes or no, because my family wasn't really that involved in any shape form of this. It was more of a you do you and that's it. It wasn't really like you know what I mean. It wasn't really like a whole big deal. I usually just keep to myself anyway. So yeah.
Sounds fair. So, when you first got your start, and I'm looking at where you're at right now, so how would you say, like, um, did you feel like with the experience that you've had doing this, doing these coverage, like journalism, interviews, VA, would you say that your skills have definitely you've grown a lot more confident with, um, with what you do, for the past few years that you've been, pursuing these endeavors?
Oh yes, definitely. And I think that goes with that goes without saying, because once you start something, of course, it's going to be scary in the beginning. Then once you're a few years into it, then just not only becomes like, not necessarily easy, just what to do, so the process is sort of easier. But yeah, definitely. Not only have I grown in confidence, but I think my outlet has also grown in within the community, because now I get invites to cover an event, or to cover a convention, or to a movie that hasn't been released yet. They give me sometimes a marketing website. I mean, marketing departments would they give me a free movie to see on my computer before it comes out, so I can review it. So yeah, definitely my outlet has grown to the point where it's growing some recognition within the anime community. But of course, more growth is always good. More growth is always better. And so we're still every day, each and every day, we're still growing. And I say we're because, again, I have a team who it's not only me at this point anymore, and that's another reason why I say we've grown, because it's not just me anymore. I have an assistant. I went through like 4 assistants before I met this assistant who has been with me and loyal with me for the last past 4 years, and he's been great, and he's usually helping me out in field with a lot of things. And thanks to all that hard work and whatnot, we have grown within the anime community, in both in the profession and within the fandom.
Yeah. So I also ask this from time to time, but do you kind of look back on some of your older work and sort of like, I don't know, this is kind of like the feeling of like, yeah, I've definitely grown and I've gotten a lot better to when I first started out. Do you like sometimes watch your old interviews and kind of like, like, do you kind of just I don't want to say cringe, but like it's more
you,
like
you you can say cringe,
yeah.
because yeah, I was gonna use that word. Yeah, sometimes I do look at my old videos, my old interviews, and I cringe, because I tell myself, wow, I could have done that so much better, or I could have acted in a different way, or my behavior there was more of a fan person than a professional. And it's always important to keep that professional behavior, and then maybe, when the cameras are off, still have that professional demeanor. But if you're a fan of whomever it is that you're interviewing, then kind of show it off, but not too much. You don't want to you don't want to scare away your guests. And definitely, again, your behavior and attitude will definitely count in within the community, because, again, when you interview someone that's a high prolific actor, voice actor, whatever, they know other voice actors, because their friends, their colleagues are voice actors. So they will speak and they will talk about you and your network to see if they're right. Not necessarily say, hey, yeah, I just got an interview with so and so. No, but just, whenever the name comes out, hey, I've been there, done that. That person's good. You'll have a fun time. So definitely, going back to your question, I've definitely seen some of my older interviews, and I have cringed, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I could have definitely done this better.
I feel like all of us are the same way. Um, that kind of is the case with me, but for me, it's like, yeah, I've definitely come a long way and I've grown. And, for the past few years that, for my own podcast that I've been doing, this for a while. So it just definitely, is when you really start, improving and growing your craft and just working on your, I guess, chops, then, the hard work is gonna, will definitely pay off, like you said earlier.
Yeah,
So
and one way that you know that you've grown is that when and I think I see it in myself when I do my interviews, is that when I used to do my interviews, I used to go in ill prepared, and I didn't even know I was going in ill prepared. And now that I've done this for a few years, not only do I have my questions in front of me, like all written out or typed out or printed out, but I also have a list of, like, within the same. What I do is type up my questions, send them into the interviewee uh beforehand, at least 24 hours beforehand, so they have an idea what the interview is going to consist of, excuse me. And then I print out my own set of questions, the same ones I sent to the voice actor or whomever I'm interviewing, and then I write notes on it. So, like, it's funny, because that's the way I do scripts as well. When I read scripts, Well, back in the day, we used to have the paper, then we can write notes, side notes on the lines or whatnot. Nowadays, it's just on the screen or a tablet that you can, go up and down with your finger. But yeah, I write notes on the side of the questions, just in case I anticipate my interviewee's answer. And if they answer this, if they answer A, then I go to B. But if they answer B, and then I go over to C. You know what I mean? And that's how you know you're going, when you have like a guideline, when you're ready and set and ready to go.
Yeah, I was also gonna ask, like, when you construct or conduct these interviews, like for the preparations and whatnot, so what is the whole process when it comes to the like preparation, to the actual interview, to the post production, all of that stuff? What's the step by step process of a Kitsune Network interview? Told from
Wow,
your
that that
perspective.
that that is that is a long process, and I say that just because, of course, everything goes around booking an interview, and a lot of people kind of are hesitant on
Oh yeah, it's scheduling
contact.
and booking. Yeah.
But they're more hesitant on the scheduling the booking, but they're more hesitant on going out of their way to contact said person for an interview, just because mainly they're either afraid that they would reject their offer or whatever. And certainly, I have had interviewees or special guest voice actors who have rejected my offer because of personal stuff. They don't want to get interviewed. They don't like being interviewed. They don't want to do press. They don't want to do any kind of anything. And that's respectful. You just send them email saying, okay, well, thank you for your time, and move on. And then okay, so my process is, once the interview is booked and once a date and time has been established, I definitely I give myself about a month to 2 weeks in advance for the interview, before the interview happens. And before that time, before the interview, at least anywhere between 48 to 24 hours before the interview happens, I must have my questions already typed out and or written out, and then I send them over to whomever I'm interviewing, so they can, even if they don't ask, it's very important that out of courtesy you send these questions over to your person who's interviewing them, because small gestures like that do go a long way. And that gives them an idea of what the interview is going to be about, what it's going to consist of, because you never know, you might ask a question that, uh, because of your wording, or maybe you don't know, but it might offend them in some way, or they don't want to speak about that, and you have no idea. And certainly, I've gotten voice actors or just guests in general who have, I've sent these questions ahead of time, and they email me back saying, "Hey, yeah, you question number 8. Unfortunately, I don't want to answer that for whatever reason, or I can't answer that because that's a violation of NDA." And then I just take it off. But then now I know, and so when the interview does happen, I don't ask that question. So once I sent the interviews, the questions over, they obviously take a look at it. They thank you, and so during the actual interview, I try to log into my Zoom account, and I use Zoom. I've been using it for the last, I want to say the last, since since the beginning of 2019. I've used Skype, and then mid 2019 to present, I've been using Zoom, and it's really, really, really better than I like Zoom better than Skype. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, like I was saying, so I try to log in about 5 to 10 minutes prior to the interview scheduling, just because I want to make sure my camera is working great, my mic is working great, there are no technical difficulties going on, making sure I'm clearing out space for my computer to save the recording on, stuff like that. And then the interview happens, and here's a small behind the scenes thing that a lot of fans or viewers of mine might not know. But all the interviews that sometimes people see on my YouTube channel, they are not recorded simultaneously. That is, that sometimes when you see me asking the questions to the interviewee, that me asking the questions to the interviewee was recorded at a later time, and the actual interview was recorded at another time. And the reason why that is because sometimes I don't like the way I look when I did the interview on that day, or there's a lighting problem, or I forget sometimes to turn off certain lights that make me look oversaturated during the interview. So I go back and just like using my webcam, I just record myself talking literally to the computer and asking as if I'm asking the person already if it's in front of me asking the question. So when I edit it in behind the scenes, and when I edit it, it looks like when I'm asking the questions, it looks like I'm asking the voice actor then and there that question at that time. But in reality, it was recorded at another time, and I think a lot of people don't realize that.
That is pretty interesting. I actually didn't even know about this until just now. You learn something new every day, folks.
Yeah, I mean it's easier in audio because I do audio interviews as well when and I've learned that between audio and visual interviews, I rather prefer doing audio interviews anytime, just because it's much more easier to edit than video. And that's just because video takes so much rendering to do, so much overlays. You got to make sure the lighting's right, you got to make sure everything is right. And for audio, you just really got to make sure that the audio's clear and whatnot, unless you're going to go with the whole visual effects and whatnot. But other than that, for a podcast, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And as far as the Kitsune network goes, what's something that so when you first started this, what has always been a main goal that you wanted to achieve when it comes to I guess your branding and just with everything that you're doing? Because like it's kind of like running your own, like it's your own independent business. I can't talk today, but yeah, what's something that you've like had in mind that you've wanted to achieve when it comes to the Kitsune network? Was there a specific goal that you wanted to um like when it comes to talking to these guests, putting these interviews out? You're making content for the listeners and the viewers to engage in. So was there something that you've had in mind that you wanted to like I guess had with the Kitsune network from your very beginnings and even up to now? And if there's something that you'd like to expand more on that in the future, what would it be?
Yeah, certainly I think the number one thing that I really wanted, my goal for the Kitsune Network when it was first founded, when I first created it, was, and again, it all stems to me going to those small events and doing coverage videos even before I had the website, was to share the fun, share the event, share what's going on within this event at a certain with a certain fandom. I'm going to say anime just for the sake of it, but my website covers different fandoms in general. But yeah, for anime, just making sure that my goal was to share that fun atmosphere with other fans around the world who don't get the chance to experience this for whatever reason, for lack of resources, or because their home country just isn't accustomed to such a things, or they themselves are in a situation where they can't financially go to these events, or travel to these events. So my goal with Kitsune Network was to really share the fun, the atmosphere with other people. And again, that goes back with me bringing convention coverage from various conventions around California, Anime Expo in Los Angeles, Crunchyroll Expo, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, so I guess my next question that I have is for VO, if you could really discuss about any of them. So like for your voiceover work, what would you say are some of your proudest roles or like some of your best like so far in your journey into the world of voiceover? Any particular fun memories or just like any work that you've done that you could say that you're, really satisfied with so far?
Yes, actually,
Projects
one
and
one
stuff.
one
Yeah.
one one does pop to mind, and it's ironically not a big role. In fact, it wasn't up to this day. I have not heard my voice in it, just because it's such an insignificant role, or rather, just not that a minor role. Or I don't want to say insignificant as much as a minor role in this game called Citizens of Space, and it's a game that was distributed by Sega, and I don't know what year was this, uh, but the reason why it comes to mind is because this game, unbeknownst to me, would later on become, like, have mostly all the cast members from Genshin Impact, and I didn't even know. So I basically was in a game with most of the cast of Genshin Impact, and I remember, and it's funny because you mentioned this because I just literally uploaded a video about this and on TikTok, which I recently just joined. But I was talking to, or rather interviewing, having a discussion, more like it, having a discussion with Lila Burzens, which is the voice of Shao in Genshin Impact, and I learned that she herself, she was in this video game called Citizens of Space, and I told her, hey, that's the same one I was in, and so we had this moment of, hey, you know. But yeah, that's probably the one that comes to mind where I'm really proud of being, just because not only uh, was the recording of that very nerve-wracking, because I remember that one was also the very first time I was in an actual booth, like an actual booth with an actual engineer with actual headphones, and I was the only one there. And outside was not only the engineer but also the voice director, and I think some cast members at the time, but I didn't know who they were. All I remember is that the studio is located in North Hollywood, and it's the same studio where they recorded uh uh an anime that I love too called Deers, which stars Michelle Ruff.
That was really awesome. Must have been a really fun experience. Your first time being in a booth. Like, I know that your first time actually being in a booth and being with, all of these people behind the screen, like behind, the scenes must have definitely been nerve wracking, like you said. So yeah, moving on to the next question. And as far as conventions go, your own content and just everything else that you do. So what are some of your personal favorite like interviews that you've done with a guest? Like and some of your best work content that you've done so far. So what would you say are some of your I guess fondest, like the interviews that you've definitely hold very dear to your heart and yeah, just ones that are just your absolute favorite so far?
Currently right now, four come to mind. That's the very first. I'm gonna start from like the oldest interview up to the most recent one, and the also oldest interview in my top four is an interview I had with Christina V, the voice of Marinette Chang in Miraculous Ladybug, and I remember this one just so fondly, and I hold it dear to my heart because this one was like, we filmed this interview at Zag Studios in Burbank, and sorry, excuse me, in Glendale, which was a huge honor for me. I mean, Jeremy Zag of Zag Studios, who, in case you don't know who Jeremy Zag is, and Miraculous Lady fans listening to this might actually know, but Jeremy Zag is the creator of the studio who produces Miraculous Ladybug, and he opened his doors to me to film in one of the offices there, and uh, I invited Christina, who was the voice of Marinette Chang, and because she's like the main head voice of their character, they opened up their doors and said, "Hey, you know what? Yeah, you can film here. We'll lend you all the time you need. Here's some free gifts. Here's this. Here's that." And it was simply phenomenal. And that was not even the interview itself, but I mean, the experience alone was like gratifying. The interview itself was also very gratifying because it was nothing but laughs with Christina V. I mean, she is such a she is such I mean, she's wild, she's funny, she is I, I'm a loss for words, but she is very, very fun to be around with. And I cannot stop laughing throughout the entire interview. Another interview that comes to mind right now, it's my last, and this I remember this one just because it was the last interview in person that I had right before the pandemic started, and that's an interview I had with Dorothy Fawn, and she is the voice of Chihiro in Danganronpa. And I think at the time I was interviewing her for she had done another role that I was actually interviewing for her for, but I don't recall right now. Dorothy, Dorothy. Yeah, I don't recall what it was, what role it was. All I know is that she plays Chihiro in among other roles, of course, but she plays Chihiro in Danganronpa, if you've heard of that series.
I'm very familiar.
Oh, okay, yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's a reason why I interviewed her specifically at that one convention, and it was at a convention in Orange County, and by God, I can't even remember the name of the convention, but I know again, and that one sticks out because again, it was in the last interview I ever did right before the pandemic hit, and after that, there was absolutely no more in-person interviews. It was I transferred everything over uh to 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 online like everything else.
Yeah, and what were the other 2?
Oh, right. uh hold on, I'm still trying to figure out what it was that role. Well, there was a reason why I interviewed her, and I cannot find out. I think I interviewed Dorothy Van just for not for the heck of it, just because she was there and she was like one of the most prolific voice actors that was gonna be at this convention. And yep, I've no idea why I wanted to interview her. Anyway, moving on. Oh, and a small tidbit about that: me and her were both in Sword Art Online. She was in Sword Art Online 2, and I was in Sword Art Online 1. But moving on to the last one, the last two. My second one would have to be an interview I did with and I have to go through my videos because I've done so many interviews. I have no idea um how or what it is that oh yeah, my interview with Crush 40, the lead singer of Crush 40, which is John Gioeli, which is if you don't know anything about Crush 40, they are the lead singers, or the lead band for the Sonic the Hedgehog video game series. That was something that was nostalgic to say the least. But me and John Gioeli catched up, and I say catched up because this was actually the second time that me and him had spoken to each other. The first time was in person back in 2018, I think, during the concert that he had with Crush 40 here in Los Angeles. And then my fourth one would have to be the most recent interview I had right now, which is with Kylie McNeil again, the voice of Suzu in Belle, and just that one was very a huge honor because again, Belle is this huge movie that exploded just this year, and I knew it was going to explode. I saw this movie a year ago, actually, a year ago last month, and I knew it was just going to be that successful. Unfortunately, at the time, I could not say anything just because, again, they send me sometimes this me out to these movies to watch, and I can't say anything just because. At the time, it was not even translated in English, so I didn't even know who was going to be who in the English dub version. But I just knew it was going to be this highly acclaimed film, and it turned out to be this highly acclaimed film. So yeah.
Yeah, and real quick, do you have a list of favorite conventions or, like, just games, shows, movies, media that you've, I guess, consumed as a kid that you would say are, like, that you grew up with and are like, huge influences in your life?
Well,
Yeah, favorite
media
yeah,
wise, yeah, definitely Sonic the Hedgehog.
and
I
then
definitely grew
favorite
up.
conventions, yeah.
Definitely for media, I grew up with Sonic the Hedgehog, and um hold on, yeah, for media franchise, I grew up with, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog, and I started watching Sonic the Hedgehog since 1996. No, 1998, and that's with the original series. Then you had Sonic Underground, Sonic X, and the rest is history. Convention wise, again, my first convention I went to was Anime Expo in 2007 or 2008. After that, I kept going to Anime Expo until to now. But of course, I've gone to other conventions such as PMX, Animanga, Crunchyroll Expo, Anime Los Angeles, which between you and I, Anime Los Angeles back in the day, between Anime Los Angeles back in the day and Anime Expo, I would always prefer Anime Los Angeles back in the day, back when it was held at the Los Angeles airport, just because it was so much fun. And I had very great friends whom I used to room with every year, and they were just so much fun to hang out with, so much fun to be around with, and I just had a blast. But eh, going back to what you asked me about, another media franchise that I watched as a kid is definitely Studio Gilby, and the one that sticks out is Spirited Away. So yeah, Sonic, Spirited Away, and Anime Expo in Anime Los Angeles.
Yeah, and favorite VAs besides the ones that you've interviewed? That you've looked up to for a very long time? Real quick, because we're running out of time.
Favorite voice actors would be Steve Bloom, um, Veronica Tyler, and shoot, I did have one in mind, but their name is escape. Oh, and definitely my number one, Kira Vincent Davis. I mean, she is phenomenal. Her voice is just so beautiful. If you don't know who she is, Google her. She's been in the industry for more than 20 years. She's from Texas. She's one of the original voice actors from ADB films along with Tiffany Grant. But yeah, definitely my top one would have to be Kira Vincent Davis. She is amazing. And hopefully me and her can rekindle our contact that we had at some point.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, are there any plans for the future you want to discuss right now? Any upcoming projects or other work we can look forward to?
Yes, actually, it's funny you asked me that because I just today, right now, within like 3 hours ago, I finished editing my latest interview, which is in honor of the 12th anniversary of High School of the Dead. I will be releasing a interview with one of the two of the cast members of High School of the Dead, and that is the voice of Takashi and the voice of Kotano Hirano from High School of the Dead this Saturday in honor again of the 12th anniversary of the series itself. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Depending on when this interview is going to come out, it is currently the 1st of June, and I'm releasing that interview on the 4th of June. So if you're listening to it, it's probably out already. But yeah, very excited for that. Current projects too. I'm finishing a giveaway with that has to do with the Bell movie again. Upcoming interviews and projects. Yes, I'm going to Anime Riverside, and I'm going to go ahead and do some convention coverage as well. I don't know about any celebrity or guest interviews there. I'm not too sure about that. I want it to be a chill day, chill convention. That one. There's Anime Expo coming up. Hopefully, me and my team are planning to go to New York City to cover the New York City Anime Con. So hopefully that happens. And yeah. Other than that, my next interview actually that's going to be released at the end of this month of June is going to be in honor of the Pride Month. So be on the lookout for that. We do have a voice actor, or rather, two lovely voice actresses who are very into that. Well, you'll see in the interview. We discussed that topic in the interview. It's gonna be fun.
Okay, and any last piece of advice you want to give to anyone out there who want to do this, wants to do something like, I don't know, anything that you're doing, like they have aspirations to pursue a career out of just anything their heart desires.
Yeah, at the risk of
What?
sounding like Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Just go ahead and do it. Don't spend too much time thinking about doing it. Just do it. You'll find yourself surprised as how easy it is or how many positive response you'll get to whatever it is that you're doing. You want to go out there and interview somebody, just go ahead and ask. A lot of people ask me the same question. Hey, how do I do what you do? How do you get these voice actors? How do you you'll be surprised. Some of them, most of them, if anything, I just ask like, hey, can I cover this? I'm part of this. I'm part of this outlet. Can I cover that event? And most of the time they're like, oh, you're part of the media and press. Okay, here you go. Welcome, and it's all about asking, you get a rejection once in a while. Yeah, sure. But I mean, it doesn't hurt. Uh, a no is just another opportunity to be like, okay, thank you. Move on to the next one. Just ask, just do it, go on and just do it.
Okay, dope. And what is your social media platforms?
All right.
Where can we
Well,
find you
I
on?
I do have my own personal media platform with my personal one, but I will be sharing the Kitsune Network's personal social media accounts, which are Twitter. You can find the Kitsune Network on Twitter at the Kitsune Network, literally the at symbol and just Kitsune Network on it. YouTube channel is YouTube/C/ the Kitsune Network, and Instagram. Just basically Google the Kitsune Network, and then we should appear right there. And our newly I think we're gonna open the Kitsune Network TikTok so we can share like upcoming previews of upcoming interviews. So